Good morning, class. Morena. Today we are going to be talking about devils and demons and the difference and the role that they play in your life. So if you hear me taking a pause, it's just because I'm having a sip of my coffee. Let's begin, shall we, children? Okay. The devil is the one who decides what should be used in order to tempt you into the dark, to tempt you over to the dark side, to get you to commit sins in order to the devil tests your weakness, tests your faith. The devil and the role that the devil plays in your ascension and in your entire life is really important. You have to have a really good relationship with the understanding of what the devil is in order to be able to know exactly what to do to defeat it. In the occult, there are many devils that they worship, like Baphomet and Baal and Molech and Lucifer and all that. You know, the devil has probably thousands of different names, but they're all different temptations. They're all offering different vices and stuff based on your level of pride and ego. And you only worship the devil, you do not worship Satan. You do not worship Satan, you respect Satan because you are supposed to fear him more than you are supposed to fear God. Satan is the one that you are supposed to fear more than anything, because when he steps in, you know you've messed up really, really bad. Which is why he writes the rules of the universe. Because he's trying to show you how to balance it out. He's trying to teach you what to do in order to never have to meet him. Because if you meet him and it's not as the role of the protector, you know you've messed up really bad and there's not going to be any escaping it. And that is everything from the levels of because you always experience hell before you die. If you meet Satan, if you get to the point where you've met Satan and he's sentenced you, your hell begins before you die. Like with Donald Trump, everything that's going on with him, that's him experiencing hell on earth before he dies, because Satan has found him guilty. Every time I see him now, I just see him surrounded by fire, because there's no coming back from everything that he's done. He's so far tipped the line into insanity, which is one of the forms of punishment that you get with Satan before you die, is you'll go insane, but there's varying levels of it. You can be the kind that, excuse me, hears voices and sees things and has 90 different moods in 30 seconds and, you know, all that sort of thing, right through to your criminally insane, the ones that are cunning and calculated and psychopathic and genius. They will always pay for their sins on earth before their bodies are anywhere near the underworld. And they won't go through the underworld. That's the thing, is that, you know, there's a step-by-step process. And when you go to the underworld, everybody goes to the underworld unless they're 100% pure, like babies and children and that, and animals, you know, crossover and purity. And obviously exception to every rule, like the boys that killed the Bulger boy and all of that. Obviously there's an exception to every rule, but let's just stick to the program. So yeah, so you have varying levels of temptations. The devil can be the grandfather that abused you, or could be a sibling or a teacher, or but there's always going to be that one trigger that's planted in you as a child that is going to be the devil that collects all the minions in your life to do his dirty work. So whoever caused the original trauma in you as a child has set in motion many trials and tests that are going to come your way in order to see how strong your faith is, in order to see how strong your will and determination is, um, before you're offered the tests and trials for an ascension. It is absolutely 100% part of the ascension process to be hurt as a child, to see how you'll deal with it as an adult. Basically, that's why it's only the strong, only the ones that are deemed the strongest are put through the ascension process. And if you fail, I mean, if you fail the tests and you fail the ascension, I mean, you regret it. You really do regret it. But how you deal with it is all up to you. People like my ex and that failed their ascensions, and my students and that failed their ascensions, and look at the path they all ended up taking. And it's only going to get worse now that the truth has come out that I was telling the truth about everything. So what you need to understand as well is that Satan will use the devil in order to do God's work. Satan will send the devil out to come and tempt you with things, so that the devil sends his minions out to help you turn to the light, because he knows it's going to change your life, because he knows it's going to bring you salvation, because he knows it's going to bring you success in whatever area that is your truest passions, as a reward for passing the test. And like if the devil was an addiction, for example, that you got from a great grandfather or a great grandmother or an auntie or whatever, just whoever, it's going to start from somewhere. It will have been planted in a seed as a child from someone in your family before you were born, or in your family circle before you were even born. So so the devil will know you're having a bad day, and he will send someone in, a minion, to trigger an outburst, maybe like an ex-girlfriend, maybe the boss has been a dick and he just tips you over the edge, something like that. He's going to send a minion in. Minions do the bidding of the devil, and you would call them demons. The demons are the voices in your head that tell you, oh, go on, just one more drink. Nah, you'll be all right to drive. Just come and rob this bank with me. She's 19, I swear. I'm on the pill. Of course I'm not going to get pregnant. Those sort of things. They're the minions, they're the devil's minions. They are the demons that are sent to be the trigger to test you. And it's always with things like testing your patience, testing your will, your strength, your determination, your faith, your loyalty, your fidelity, gluttony, all that sort of thing, all the vices. And the devil will know, because he's been planted in your head from birth. The devil will know exactly what to do and say in order to tempt you to the dark side. And that is by continuing the ancestral curse. So, you'll keep drinking because your granddad kept drinking, and then your kid will keep drinking, and their kid will keep drinking, and that is the curse. You hand it down, because what you need to understand is that memory is imprinted on us. when we see something, the brain remembers every single thing that happens. It's us that forgets. It's our subconscious that pushes things out of the way. The human brain has an incredible way, especially with children. It's like a supernatural ability that children have, where they are able to block out really painful, psychologically traumatic memories to protect them. It's an incredible ability they have, and science even pretty much can't understand it, but that's like the power of God. And then what happens is when they're old enough and they're ready to be able to start dealing with it all, God will start unlocking memories for them when it's safe for them to finally deal with it. Even if they're homeless on the street and they suddenly start remembering these things, it's becomes safe for them to deal with that trigger. And then that's when they'll go through their trial by fire. Like, they will think they're in hell. They'll have to relive all the traumas. They'll have to be the ones to just get themselves to the end of the day in the hope and the faith that God's going to get them through it, and that it's all happening for a reason, and it's going to be the most painful, excruciating thing in your life, because people are going to call you crazy. People are going to turn their backs on you. These are all the minions. These are all the demons. The people that turn their backs on you, the ones that start gossiping behind your back, the ones that go out of their way to remove things from your life to make it harder for you, the people that kick you when you're down, the people that kick you when you're down by blaming you for their own mistakes and that sort of thing, they're all the devil's demons. They're all your demons, all the inner voices that pick and nag and criticize and have an opinion and decide and judge. And the ones that they're there to test your resolve, to test your strength, to test your faith. They're there to make you question yourself, but it's your responsibility to only question the stuff that feels right in your heart. And if you know you're not anything like what they're saying you are, if you know you don't deserve what's going on, even for the stuff you admit, okay, well, yeah, I did do that when I was 11, so I guess if that's me paying off karma, that's fine. You have to accept that, because we will have to pay off things as adults for things that we did as children. Like, once children get past a certain age and they learn to lie or steal a cookie or something like that, like it all has to balance out at some point. But God waits until you're older in order to get you to start paying it off. And it seems cruel, but what people need to understand is that the younger you are, the closer you are to God. And the younger you are, the purer you are, the wiser you are, because you're an angel, and angels are the strong ones. And then you have to morph from being an angel to go into cocoon in order to break the components of your brain down, and the chemicals in your body and the hormones in your body, to spit you back out the other side as a human. You're not technically born until you get out of puberty, because from the minute you're conceived until the minute you finish puberty, you're an angel going through a humanization process. And so angels know better. And so for the ones that do, tell a lie or steal a thing or break a thing and don't confess, and, all those sort of things, all the little kiddie things, they do come back. You do have to pay for them. But it's when it's like you stole a cookie, it just means it'll be things like you'll go to buy cookies in a store and there'll be one missing out of the packet, or someone will steal a cookie from you and it was like the cookie that you were looking forward to having in that particular cafe, because they do the best version of that cookie. Hopefully Mama Bear's Kitchen Cafe and Bakery. That sort of thing. It varies, because God knows your level of innocence. You see, if something's done as a child for innocence and protection, how it is dealt with later on when you're an adult. It's not going to be dramatic and all that sort of thing, but it does vary. And if it turns out that you're being put through a trial where you know that you were a good kid, where you know that your parents raised you well and you can't understand what's going on, then it's going to be a past life thing, or it's going to be an ancestral thing, and then you have to be the one to figure it out. What I do, and it's one of the things that I'm going to do on my radio show, it's one of the shows I'm going to do, is I'm going to get people to send in photos of their wrists, like their hands and their wrists, and their teacups and with their tea leaves and coffee cups in it, and then I'm going to read them live on air. And one of the things that I'm able to do is read the wrists on your palm to tell you for me, the way my mama taught me, is the lines on your palm. Sorry, God, the lines on your wrist, the ones that stand out are the past lives that you're here to make up for now. So when I'm able to tell you what your past lives were and what you're supposed to be doing in order to pay the karmic debt off, you go off and do that, and then you pay it off, and then your life becomes way calmer and way better. And then because you did as you were told, you get to like start having rewards for it. And then because you've witnessed the supernatural, you're kind of left a bit like, whoa, that was amazing, sort of thing, like, holy crap, is there actually something in this? And then it lifts your spirits, and then you start getting that natural high. You know, when you see these born again Christians and Mormons and that, and they're always naturally happy and naturally high, that's because you've got like dopamine in that. You've had like a rush of dopamine and adrenaline, so your heart will start pumping because you get like that natural high, that cortisol. It's like this build up of energy that you get, and you have a glow because you're at peace, because you're surrounded by the light, and when you're surrounded by the light, you're in the presence of God. So the younger you are, the closer you are to God. The purer you are, the more innocent you are, the more powerful and wise you are. Think about that. The younger you are. Remember in Mork and Mindy, how with Mork, with his alien race, the wiser aliens were the younger ones. So they were born old, and then they would de-age and get wiser as they de-aged. It's kind of like that. The younger you are, the closer you are to God. The wiser you are, you're in your purest angelic form, the younger you are. And it starts with the sperm and the egg. So it's why the top of the head of a baby, it's why it's called the crown. You're born with a crown. The crown comes out first because you're like like Archangel Gabriel and that. Your little cherubs with little angels with halos on, with the crowns on your head. So yeah, we are held accountable for the things we do as children, as adults, when it's time. But if you don't get tempted by the hand of fate, you have nothing to worry about. If you can walk away from all the temptations of the devil, so to speak, whoever the devil is, and the devil will take many forms. The devil can be the boss that's trying to set you up to get you fired. The devil can be, the woman that wants to ruin your life by getting pregnant to stop you from, joining your band and going off and traveling and being successful. And, the ones that want to try and tie you down, like, the devil comes in many forms. The one that abuses you, and you keep staying, that sort of thing. The devil does take many forms, but once you're wise to it, you know exactly what to do. And if you are in a domestic abuse situation, the devil is the one abusing you, and the demons are the ones that they put against you. you know, turning friends and family against you, having a gossip, your name going out at work, and, you know, all of that, putting things up on social media. That's your devil. Not to be mistaken with what I'm doing, because I'm the victim and I'm fighting for justice. I'm fighting my devil. And that's what you have to do. You have to fight your devils and demons. You have to be the one to fight your devils and demons. Because it's the paranormal is all in your head, and that's what you have to remember. Sorry, that's what you have to remember. My phone slipped. I'm just going to have a sip of my coffee. The paranormal is all in your head. And you are the master of what it is your psychological mind makes up. And the voices in your head are never, ever, 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 ever going to be honest with you. They will lie. You will always know when the voice in your head is telling you the truth, because you feel it in your heart first. You will always feel it in your gut. You will always feel the truth in your gut first, before your mind starts jumping in. If ever you have second thoughts about something, that is a red flag. You are being told to think before you act, or think before you say something. Always listen to the red flags that your body will give off. So if something doesn't feel right, it's not right. Even if you think something is a little bit off, a little bit weird, and you sort of think, nah, and you talk yourself out of it, don't listen to that voice in your head, because the voice in your gut will be nagging you. But yeah, I don't know, something wasn't right about that. That kind of voice, when you feel it in your gut, that's the one you listen to. The voice in your gut will always be right, because everything it says will be logical and have purpose, and it doesn't rest until you act on it. Like with guilt or shame, or, you know, that voice that's nagging in the back of your head. But I swear to God, that was a bruise on her face. And the way she acted when she, you know, when I asked her blow, and the way she flinched when I touched her there, I think she's been abused. Like, I'm pretty sure I just saw him grab her by the throat, but she's saying it was this, and I don't know, you know, like that kind of nagging. That's the voice of righteousness and justice. That's when you have to keep an eye on the situation and take the person aside and say, are you being abused? Or did you just steal from me? Or are you cheating on me? Why are you lying? Why are you lying to me? Stop lying. I know you're lying. I have the evidence. You have to be the one to confront it. You have to be the one to fight the devil. Because for whatever reason, they've decided that you're the one that they want to stop from living your life purpose. And that's exactly why Satan and God bring the devil in. Like with Job, when they had that bet, when Satan said, I can make your most faithful follower curse your name out, and God said, you're on. Satan said, what are the rules? God said, you can't take his life. You can do whatever you want, put him through any trial, but you're not allowed to kill him. Satan said, deal. Sent everything out. All the minions, all the tests, all the trials. I mean, Jesus, Mary and Joseph, I can identify 100%. The trial of Job. Oh Lord. But it's all in the strength of your faith. You have to have faith that no matter what happens, God, your ancestors, whoever you want to call them, Atom, the universe, the divine spirit, whoever, has got your back. and that you'll always have enough, and that you will always make it to the end of the day, every day, until the trial is over. And what you're expected to do is grow wiser and stronger. Learn about yourself. Learning is knowledge. Knowledge is wisdom. Wisdom is power. And when you have the power to destroy your devils and demons, you become unbreakable. And then your mind becomes so strong, you're untouchable. You'll spot every lie, you'll spot every nuance, you'll spot every subtlety in the atmosphere, because you become so good at listening to the voice in your gut over the voice in your head, because the voice in your head are the demons, are the minions. And when you've got those voices in your head that are torturing you, or calling you names, or putting you down, or swearing at you, or telling you what a bad person you are, criticizing you, trying to get you to sin and have another injection, or get some more of that brown stuff or whatever, they're all the minions. All the voices in your head are all the demons that were placed there by the devils, who were able to tempt you in the first place to react in a way that it is now causing you psychological trauma, because the paranormal is all in your head, and the devils and demons reside in the paranormal. And when you fight those, you end up in the supernatural, where the devils and demons know not to touch you, because they get karma for what they do. And that's what you need to understand. Well, while you're going through your trial, it might not seem like it at the time, but I promise you that every single person that is responsible for putting you through that trial, those devils and demons, if you do as you're told and you do the work on yourself, they get the karma, not you. While they get the karma, you get the dharma. So as you rise, they fall. So as you start to gain and learn and grow, they lose and fail and descend. They do get punished for what they put you through. All of the devils and demons get punished. I mean, look at Donald Trump, Elon Musk, Christopher Black. I mean, just anyone who touches me, it's like they instantly turn to dust now, like white buffalo calf woman. You become that powerful because you're a trailblazer. You go from being born an angel to an archangel. Put it that way. That's the best way I can describe it. You become, archangels are so powerful and so strong. They are like God's fingers and toes. And he doesn't, not everybody passes the training to be an archangel. It's the only way I can describe it. I'm not saying you're like a literal archangel. That's the only way I can describe it. You know the difference between you have varying versions of it. You have your messages and prophets of God. You have your saints. You have your martyrs and all of that. You have your angels. And then you have your archangels, and then you have your demigods and deities, and then you have your gods, right? There's kind of like a chain of command of righteousness and purity and goodness and all that sort of thing. Like Saint Nicholas would be one of the lower level versions of one of God's soldiers. Daniel is another one, Daniel in the Bible, Job, King Solomon, David, varying levels of, saintliness and godliness and all of that, and man and in mythology. So think of your process as being born an angel, and after you've finished your ascension, you graduate as an archangel. If you know the difference between the two, it's pretty big. Because not only are you then closer to God as his soldier and his warrior, you also have his armor for your protection, and you become untouchable. And then you fight the devils and demons for other people so that they can rise up as well. You clear the path. You become the trailblazer, and clear the path in whatever your medium is. You know, if you're able to become a successful writer or musician or artist or programmer or engineer or architect or whatever, and you work on a groundbreaking, I don't know, space program, for example, or you help create, compose um, classical music and or compose the composition for Vanta Black, and it ends up becoming like the War of the Worlds and that, like a classic, an icon in music history. If you get to become like a part of all of that, that's the reward for you fighting your devils and demons. Whether it's that you didn't sign over to the, you know, the Diddy crowd in the music industry, whether it's that you didn't give in to the temptations of Hollywood that we know goes on there, or for reality TV, and that whatever your medium is going to be when you finish your ascension as a high functioning creative empath, you get rewarded by being the master of your craft, the guru, the, you know, the OG of what it is that you do that gives you your name, that turns you into a star and makes you immortal for the rest of your life. And that's why you're put through the trial, because not everyone is going to end up with their last name becoming as famous as most Mozart or Gershwin or Da Vinci or Michelangelo or, you know, whoever, Jim Carrey. So if you've been chosen to be a star that people look up to for centuries to come, you have to earn the right to prove that you're prepared to grow the wings to fly yourself up there. See what I mean? Obviously, I'm using a lot of metaphors, but I'm trying to elucidate the process in a way that for those listening to my voice can visually understand it. It will make more sense if they, and because everybody knows what an angel and an archangel is. It's just metaphoric. I'm just talking like, you know, hyperbolically. You're not really becoming an archangel. Because they're like the elites. They're like the SAS of God's army. They don't let just anybody in. It's like, you know, you would be God's Sparta. You'd be God's Spartan army. or like at the moment with this holy war, bloody crusaders. Not that we're fighting Muslims, but you know, like what I mean is like we're knights, we're all suited and booted, we're armoured up fighting this holy war at the moment because of Lucifer and all of that taking over their countries. So when people have to have exorcisms when they're possessed, and they have to have exorcisms, they are fighting demons in their head. But the only way you will ever be able to truly fix the psychological trauma of a demonic possession is by getting to the root cause of who planted the bad seed in the first place. Was the child abused? Is there abuse in the family? Is there addictions in the family? Is the child taking anything? Because, I mean, let's face it, this day and age, there's kids doing all sorts of things out in this world now that they shouldn't be doing. I mean, everybody I know was smoking weed about the age of sort of 10, 11 is when they first started trying it. Everybody I know, and I mean in other countries as well, everybody I know started having their first sips of beer around 10, 11, maybe mum and dad let them have their first can of beer around 12, 13, that sort of thing. And none of us grew up addicted to anything. But nowadays there are kids, even younger than that, that are like smoking cigarettes and vaping and, drinking and doing a lot harder drugs than weed. Stealing the parents like antidepressants and doing all sorts of things. And children are supposed to be listening to music and doing art and hanging out with their friends at milk bars and playing video games and going for rides on their bike. And I want to, at my foundation, it's a place where kids are going to be kids again. But they'll earn pocket money, and instead of doing like maths and English and history and social studies and all that sort of thing, they'll be learning to bake and sew and do woodwork and pottery and make video games and make stop motion animated movies that we're going to enter into film festivals and play at our own film festivals. And they're going to learn how to do broadcasting and costume design, whatever it is they want to do. And then come Halloween and Christmas, that's when I come swooping down from my North Star with all the decorations and fun things to do, and we're just going to have the best time ever. So the only thing I can't decide is how long the kids should come and stay with me for. I was thinking maybe 3 months at a time, but it all depends on the children's circumstances, whether they get homesick. If any of them get homesick, we're not going to force them to stay. If they want to go home, we will absolutely put them on a plane home. It's not a concentration camp, it's a school. But it's a art movement. It's a school that's an art movement for a new generation. But I want my mentors, I want my staff to be retirees and the best in their field, because they're going to be the teachers to these children that are teaching them, passing on their traditional old school knowledge. We always need to have architects and artists and that know how to do it the traditional way, with a pencil and paper, with a brush, with a typewriter. We need to keep those traditions alive. And so my mentors will be coming along, hopefully, fingers crossed. They worked for DC Comics and they worked for Old Hollywood and they worked on Broadway. They lived in Greenwich Village. Yeah, they worked in Bollywood. They worked for the BBC and BBC Radio 1 or that sort of thing. The people that they were journalists, people that are retired who still have so much to give, who are going to come in and give their time to teaching these kids these skills, because there's so many kids out there with these unbelievable talents of being able to sew and bake and carve and write music and play instruments and stuff, and they're so busy competing with the ones that get all the sponsors and that on social media that they're not being seen by the right people. And so these are the kids that I want to bring along, the ones that are getting bullied, the ones that are considered like the school rejects, the freaks, geeks, nerds, dorks and weirdos. There'll be a lot of emos and goths staying with us, guaranteed. I'm totally going to let them run Halloween. I'm going to give them carte blanche to work with me and just like create every year the perfect Halloween canvas by bringing all my goths and emos in and saying, right, this year's theme is going to be blah, 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 and then just say, and go, and then just see what they create. And like for the Soul Collector as well, putting all of that force and energy into the soul collector with the art and the graphics and the comic books and the video games and that, my goths and emos, I'm just going to say, just go, just put what in it, what you like. I get final say. Here's the storyline. This is the characters. This is the blah. Now go and go. Give them the tools and then just see what they create from it. I can't wait. I'm so excited. I can't wait to see what these little genius freaks and geeks are going to do with what I hand them. The art we're going to be able to put on the walls in the haunted house. And yeah, oh my God, look, my voice is quivering because I get so excited when I think about it. Because some of these kids, man, these goths and emos and that, some of the stuff that they create, fashion-wise, art-wise, it's just pure dark genius. And it's not being nurtured the right way. So I will help them fight their own little demons in that by giving them a safe space to be able to put faces on them that we can then, point and laugh at and make money off and go, haha, you winners, you didn't have that power over me, you thought you did, sort of thing. And because they all have a fascination with the paranormal and the occult, they can come and have their little classes and I can show them how to do it the right way. Don't use pentagrams. One of the biggest mistakes that people make in the paranormal and the occult, is they use pentagrams. The worst thing you can do is put circles inside the occult. Probably the biggest no-no is don't use circles in the occult. Especially pentagrams. Because they actually stop the flow of evolution. It's supposed to be the star without the circle. So I can't wait. So anyway, there is a difference between devils and demons. They're the real devils and demons, the real ones. And like in the Bible, God is trying to teach us how to fight our demons, to slay the devil, do the work on yourself and see who you become at the end. I am nothing like the woman. I wasn't even a woman back then. I was like barely a female when I first started my ascension. You couldn't get lower than me. I was on 22 different kinds of morphine, codeine, diazepam, amitriptyline, 22 different kinds of tablets a day to deal with my hernia pain and my back. I was morbidly obese. I swore like you wouldn't believe. I was just an angry because I was around my ex and I didn't understand back then about the domestic abuse and, the absorption of empathic energy and blah, blah, blah. I didn't understand it. It's not an excuse for being a crap, lazy mother with children that I absolutely worshipped and adored. But thankfully, when my boy came in and had that wee chat with me, 6, 7, and it was a wake-up call. And that's when I realised that I hadn't been living at all. I had been surviving. I had been existing. I had been sitting in the filth that I had allowed other people to create for me. I wasn't perfect. I was by no means perfect. I've paid off my karmic debt. But at the same time, I allowed people to abuse me. I allowed people to mistreat me. I allowed people to get away with things that the new me would not tolerate whatsoever. And the whole reason why they all started turning on me is because I started pulling them up for their sins and their bad behaviour, their lies, their laziness, their excuses. Because my husband was getting ready to come out of prison and I wanted to hurry up and do what I had to do to get everyone in place so that I could get to New York by the time he got out and we could build this school. But then, of course, all hell broke loose, and then the devil tempted my husband with the demons, the students, the pedophiles, the abusers, the this, that, and he fell for it hook, line, and sinker. So as he started descending, even though they thought they were getting away with everything, I was just working on myself, healing myself, mending, trying to forge my path and faith, because I knew that at the end of it I was still going to get what I wanted, but that this was all happening because it was God's way of saying, it was my ancestors' way of saying, these people can't come with you to where you're going because they don't deserve it. They're bad people. Debbie, you need to see these people are very, very bad people. And I was refusing to see it. So God had to kick me up the backside to make me see what I was refusing to see. But when you're the victim of domestic abuse, and the abuse is emotional and mental, when it's psychological and emotional and financial and that, like mine was, when your abuser is a smooth talker, they are very, very good at explaining why their abuse of you is your fault. And you don't even realise you're doing it. You think that, you just learn to walk on eggshells. You learn to, react and act a certain way when their moods change in order to protect the kids and blah, blah, blah. And he was draining me. They were all sucking the life out of me. These people that, I love you, and then talk behind your back and all that sort of thing. God saw everything that was going on, and he said, you have to get out of here. But you have to do everything I say and don't question it, because when you come out the other side, you're going to hold a gem in your hand that is so precious and so priceless. People will be falling over themselves to invest in you. He said, because I'm giving you the Midas touch. And everything you touch when you come out the other side is going to turn to gold. And people are going to see you as a mine. And they're going to want to mine you within an inch of your life for all the things that you create when you come out the other end. Because everything you create will have never been done before. Because you're a trailblazer. So I fought my devils, I fought my demons, ancestral, personal, familial, historical, fought them all. And now when people try anything, I'm on it faster than a car bonnet. I'm on it faster than white on rice. I don't even hesitate now. The second my instincts and intuition go ping ping, because one will kick in first, you'll usually always feel when something doesn't feel right, and you kind of, how you'll do that head jerk of, huh? And you'll sort of like, you'll squint your eyes and you'll think, huh? And like jerk your head back. That's the physical reaction to your instincts alerting your intuition. When your intuition sees stuff coming, it'll be that voice that says, there's something weird going on with that guy, just pay attention. You might want to get your phone out and record, but don't let it be known. That's your intuition. Your instinct is like, you'll open the door, there'll be a man standing there or a person standing there or someone will walk up to you and you'll feel it in your gut. Boom! Whoa! Where did they come from? Alert, alert, alert. That's your instincts. And your heart will start pounding. Your instincts are felt in your body, and your instincts are what basically survey your physical parameter. The people coming in and out of your personal space. That's your instincts, is physical. But your intuition is conscious. It comes in as a thought through your heart. Because it'll be reasoning, it'll be logical, like, that guy's acting a little weird around here. I'm just going to keep an eye on it. I'm going to get my phone out and I'm not going to make it obvious just in case. Because something's not right about this. That's your intuition. and it's guiding you to a path of, you know, righteousness and justice and goodness and purity, and without even thinking, you just react and jump in the water to save the puppy. That's instinct. That's primal instinct, and it's in us on a primal level to want to preserve life and protect the life of the innocent, and that's where Satan comes in, and he will put the devil in your life to do God's work, because when you go through an ascension and you go through the underworld and you go through your trial by fire, it leaves an indelible mark on your psychological mind to the point where you do everything you can to avoid having to go through it again, because every time you go down to the underworld, it gets harder and harder and harder to get out, because it means you haven't learnt your lessons. And that's what a karmic loop is, where you will have the same bad relationships, make the same mistakes. It's just the same thing over and over and over again, because you're stuck in a karmic loop, because you haven't learnt the lessons from it. And when you learn the lessons from it, that's when the karmic debt is paid off and you get to move on and you're free from it. So only once you've learnt to avoid certain kinds of men or women in relationships will you end up finding the one person for you who isn't like the rest of them, because you've learnt your lesson. No, I'm not going to let you gaslight me. No, you're not going to love bomb me. No, you're not going to, you know, make all these promises and then do none of them. No, I'm done. No, nope. You know, and then you walk away. And then the more you start walking away from the players and the liars and the schemers and the scammers and the, you know, the manipulators and all that sort of thing, the abusers, then you start, because you know your worth, you know what you will and won't accept from that point on. And one thing, I mean, I'm single, and the one thing I will not tolerate now is people is men who will say, I'm going to do this, I'll be back and I'll do this, and then they don't. People who say what they do and do what they say. Actions speak louder than words, and I won't tolerate any man in my life who doesn't put actions behind their words. That I can't stand that sort of weakness. It's gross. You tolerate so much. Obviously, also as well, like I will not tolerate a man who has an eye for other women. That's gross. That's disrespectful. It's emotional infidelity, as far as I'm concerned. When you say you love someone, you don't have an eye for other women. You only have an eye for the one that you love. Roving eyes, and you know, guys that flirt, and women, people who flirt when they're with other people when they're in relationships and stuff. I don't care if the partner says they're cool with it. It's no. It's no, absolutely not. It's disrespectful. It's rude. It's emotional infidelity. And I'm sorry, but I want someone who is as 100% real with me as I am with him. He doesn't have to be the same religion as me. He doesn't have to be the same culture. He doesn't even English doesn't even have to be his first language. But if I don't care if he works for the council as a bin man, or he's a CEO of a company, or a president, or a prime minister, or a famous rock star, or a famous actor, or what. I don't care who he is. I don't care about any of that. I don't care about his bank balance. What I care about is if he's a man of his word, he's faithful, and he's loyal, and he respects what I do. He doesn't have to believe in any of it, but he knows that I'm good at what I do. He loves what I do. If he could be someone that was into what I was into, I would absolutely love that, because then it means that I could bring him in and we could work together. I'd love to be able to have a partner, a husband, where we got to like compose together or act together, or, you know, record silly cartoon voices together. Because whoever I end up with ends up being Lucian Oberon, the Moon King. He's who the Moon King is based on, is whoever I end up with. But I'm single. So I've already written him in before he's been put into place in my life. So, and the moon is as plain as the nose on my face, and the Moon King illuminates the shadows. He's righteous and he's just and he's true and he's loyal and he's real and he's obvious, and he protects the night and I protect the day. So he watches over the children when they sleep as well. Because for us it's all about the children. Our purpose, what we're here for, is for the children. Him and I, we've been paired to secure the future for children. So I'm not accepting anything less than someone who has the same moral standards as me. Because I fought my devils and demons in relationships, and I'm not dealing with that stuff again. Because they turn evil. All the men, like my husbands and that, they just complete psychopaths. When I stopped playing the game, they completely flipped. And it's like, oh, so that's who you are. That's who you really were. So then just roll your sleeves up and get yourself out of it. That's what you have to do. But that's what I'm here for. And when I get my radio station up and running, I've got so many shows that I can put on. And the great thing is, I can work around my stomach. It's been a bit of a dick. So, but I'm still producing from sitting on my bed and keeping myself hydrated and just trying to deal with the pain. So, but I can still do it. That's the great thing about having my radio station, is I can have my little radio station in a room in my home, as long as I have someone to help me work all the stuff and get myself a co-host with some of my shows. I want my co-host to be like Curious George, where he's just curious about everything that we talk about. That he just, he asks good questions, and we have like a good rapport with each other, where he can be relaxed. And yeah, I can't wait to start looking for my co-host. Once I know what country I'm moving to. Anyway, so I'm going to go and get my breakfast now. So that's the difference between devils and demons. And if you get it, if you understand it, now you can do something about it. Learning is knowledge, knowledge is wisdom, wisdom is power. And when you fight your devils and demons, they no longer have that power over you. Nothing does. Have a beautiful weekend, guys. Hold your head up high and know that you are loved. Class is out, children. Love you. Mwah. Ka kite anō.